Let's look at graphing on a coordinate plane. Now let's go over some definitions and basically the layout of a coordinate plane. Okay, a coordinate plane is a plane that is formed when two number lines intersect at right angles. They're perpendicular to each other, basically. So you have the y-axis, which goes up and down, or vertical. You have the x-axis, which goes left to right, and that's horizontal. Then where they meet, we call it the origin. This is exactly where the x and y-axis meet. We call this point also 0, 0. Now, an ordered pair is a pair of numbers that identify the location of a point on the graph. So you'll have this, which is an ordered pair, or we call it a coordinate point. Now, the y is the y-coordinate, and it says how far you move up, which is if it's positive, or down, which is if the number's negative, from the origin. Now, the x is the x-coordinate, and that tells you which way you go, left or right. Now, you go right if it's positive and left if it's negative, and you're going that distance away from the origin. So we have this lovely coordinate plane. Here's our y-axis, here's our x-axis. Now, the first thing we need to do is identify the points. So right here we have A. A, remember, when you're doing this, you need to write your x-coordinate first. So we go over 1, and I'm in line with A. So we know my x-coordinate is 1. So to get to A, we got to go up 1, 2. And we're going up, so it's a positive 2. So this A is at 1 for x and 2 for y. So my coordinate point is 1, 2. Now B is right here on the y-axis. Notice, I don't go left or right from the origin to get to B on the x-axis. It stays at 0. So my x-coordinate is 0. My y-coordinate, I need to go up to 5. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I go up 5 away from this origin. So my y-coordinate is a positive 5. And the coordinate point is going to be 0, 5. Now let's look at C. C is down here. To get to C, I need to go over, right 4, and down to negative 4. So my x-coordinate is going to be 4. My y-coordinate, I go down to negative 4, so my y-coordinate is negative 4. Now D is over here. I go this time, instead of going right on my x-axis, I've got to go left, and those are going to be negative numbers. And I go left to negative 6, so my x-coordinate's negative 6, but I still go up 1, a positive 1. So my coordinate's going to be negative 6, 1. Now let's graph these points. The first one is 0, 0. That is the origin. That's right here. So that's our number 1 point. The second one is negative 2, negative 3. So that means from 0, I go over to negative 2, and then I go down to negative 3, which is right there. This is my second point. Then I have 0, negative 3. So I start at my origin. I don't go left or right on the x-axis since it's 0, but I need to go down 3, which is right there. And there's my third point. Number 4, 5, 0. This means from 0, 0, I go over 5, but notice the y-coordinate is 0, so I don't go up or down. So I stay right here at 5, 0. This is my fourth point. Now this last point, I need to go up 6 and then over 4. So I go up 6, over 4, which is out here, and this is my fourth point. Okay, so remember, you go left or right first, then up and down. Now with the coordinate plane, we also have what we call quadrants. Basically, the x and y axis are dividing the coordinate plane into 4 sections, and we call those quadrants. They're labeled 1 through 4, and they go counterclockwise. So here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, in this first quadrant, you're going to have both the x and y coordinate are going to be positive. The second one, the x coordinate's negative, but the y coordinate's positive. The third one, both of them are negative. And the fourth one, x is positive, but y is negative. So if I'm looking, I want to know these points, which quadrant, or if it's the axis, which axis they're going to fall on. So if I go -6, 1's negative, the x value, and the y value is positive. Well, that's going to be quadrant 2, because if I go over to -1, up to 6 will be about here, and that follows in quadrant 2. So I'm just going to put a 2. The second one I have 0, 4. Well, 0 is going to be here. Remember, I don't go left to right on the x-axis, but I need to go up 4. So basically, I'm on this y-axis, so this is where that point's going to fall. Second one, -6, 0. Well, I need to go left, -6, but I don't go up or down because it's 0 for the y-coordinate, so it's going to be on the x-axis. Now 7, 2, both points are positive. When both are positive, I'm going to be in quadrant 1. Now in this one, both x and y coordinate is negative, so I'm going to be in quadrant 3. This last one, 1's positive, 1's negative. Notice the x value is positive and the y value is negative, so that puts me into quadrant 4. So basically, you can tell which quadrant a point's going to fall into by just looking at whether the x-coordinate is positive or negative and if the y-coordinate is positive or negative.